ahead, Weaver.
Thanks, Greg. Good afternoon, Paul. I know you talked a little bit about it yesterday, but how does the coaching staff value or quantify the value of rest at this point, especially given the overtimes you had to play?
So a new experience coming off back-to-back games in the playoffs and then almost 3 games in 30 hours. So we took those first 2 days and you know what, it felt like very much like you come off a trip on the West Coast, right, where you get in at 4 a.m, which is about the time, and those next 2 days of practice are tough. So we kept those off, started to see it kind of come back today. And then sometimes we just judge, you know, how we feel. You're constantly asking the players, how's your body feeling today? And today was the first day I think that they felt kind of back to normal. So the rest was critical. I think, you know, I don't know that we're going to see another back-to-back. We may, but that was a huge task. And then the triple overtime made it hard to judge. So we just kind of went with what we thought we needed each day, talk to the players before, see where they're at. We have a plan for it. And then now we're just basically waiting to get some idea of what a schedule might look depending on the different eventualities so that we can we know what our last 2 days of practice are going to look like. The question is, where would we fit if we had another off day, how we would fit that in. So the rest is really, really important because you get to heal up a lot of them. We had 47 shot blocks in the last game. That's a lot of ice bags. So we'll get a chance to heal those up, and then you want to be as fast as you can leading into the series start.
We'll go next to Ted Wyman from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Ted.
Paul, where would you say Pierre-Luc Dubois' game is now compared to when he first got here and even midway through the season?
Yeah, I think Pierre's just kind of constantly building, right? He had such a difficult start, and that start goes back to last summer. And then, you know, what he went through kind of in that transition time out of Columbus, the quarantine, the injury, the different systems, the different style of game. And then he's just been building on it. So one of the things he hasn't been able to do is kind of play with a consistent line and play a consistent position, and felt right kind of from we went right back into the middle there halfway through game 3. He looked more comfortable, but that wasn't the driver. It was actually Nick Ehlers. Nicky likes being on the right side. So we moved him there. That was kind of the impetus behind the change. And then he's comfortable there. So he just keeps building. I think he's going to get, I think the time he had off the ice was a real challenge for him because it's not a normal 2-week block off the ice where you're in a weight room and you're still skating, but you're coming back from injury. He's locked down. So it took him a while to get back to it. And I think he's just been building, and he'll just keep getting better. The longer we can play, the more we're going to see of what he's capable of doing.
We'll go next to Jeff Hamilton from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, Paul. On the line of Pierre-Luc Dubois, how do you feel you guys have handled him and his role here since he's been here? It seems like you've given him, you know, ample opportunity to find his game, whether it be at center or wing. And I'm just kind of curious your take on what you've kind of offered him since he's been here.
Like really good players to play with. What he's had the opportunity to kind of come in, and we've moved all the different wingers around. We've played him with everybody to get to know him a little bit, his style of play, and also to see how he interacts with those different styles of play. And then got to a point in the year where we structured other lines out a little bit. It fits. I like Nicky Ehlers with a left-hand center, and that's where I think he's been at his best. So whether it's Stastny or it's Dubois, I don't think Pierre-Luc is as comfortable on left wing as Paul Stastny is. Paul can still take, you know, he's a veteran centerman, face-off guy, so we still like there. So he's had an opportunity to play with a lot of really, really good players. And we've been kind of fortunate. We found what we think is a good group that not only will eventually bring out the best in him, but it also structures the rest of our group. So we haven't broken up something we like to try to get him more. So I like that. I think he's a young forward that's going to just keep getting better and better.
We'll go back to Jeff Hamilton for a follow-up. Go ahead, Jeff.
On that line of kind of giving him or trying to find out who the player he is, how much of it is the makeup of the Columbus Blue Jackets and who he played with for years versus the makeup of your team, and how is that kind of a challenge or maybe an asset even?
Yeah, I wonder, I don't know that a percentage, I could put a percentage on it, but you are always a product in some ways of your environment. That whole nurture versus nature is true of hockey, right? What you can do as an individual is really at times either amplified or may possibly constrained by who you play with in a 5-man game. And then certainly the style in the East is much different. Mind you, we're playing kind of, we finished with a Western Conference team that played more of an Eastern style. And anyway, try not to beat that answer to death. But I think that the key piece to this is, what can he do? Like going forward, where are his ceilings? And I don't think we've gotten near any of them yet. He's going to be more powerful, faster, stronger. So this is a big bodied guy. And this is not a perfect analogy, but when you look at like the change in Logan Stanley from younger to older man, and that's going to happen with Pierre-Luc. He's a big guy. He may even carry less weight as he gets older, as he leans kind of into that older man strength idea. And then all of he's probably learning at a faster rate in terms of puck control, what you can get away with when you got to release the puck, those kind of things. Those are technical things that'll learn, but he's going to get a boost in kind of all of the development areas. He's going to get bigger, stronger, faster, better reads, faster reads, more net front, like a simpler game in some ways. And this guy's going to be a real good player for us. I mean, I haven't looked at the production of numbers ever with him as an important part of what he does. We want him to put pucks in the net for sure, but we want him to develop into a certain style of player, and we think we're on path to get that.
We'll go next to Kelly Moore from 680 CJOB. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thanks again, Gregor. Hi, Paul. Started the morning off by watching a video of one of your proteges, Rod Brindamore, and I don't know if you heard about it or not, but the happy birthday song to his dad from the Carolina team after they clinched the series. It was an open moment in the dressing room. I'm not sure if you've had any of those kind of moments with your team, and would you be comfortable with that being shared on social media?
So I know Rod goes in and he talks to the team after every game, and I know he wished he didn't, because he started it and now he has to do it. And he had mentioned that on a panel I did with him, I think, or something I saw. He said, I got to go into the room now because I have to, because I've done it every game, and I wish I hadn't done it at the start. There is, there's lots of good things to share on social media, and then there's some really valuable private moments with I'm open to it, but I still love some of those private things that are especially the ones that are just the players.
We'll go next to Mike McIntyre from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Mike.
Gregor, afternoon, Paul. Paul Stastny was just up here a few minutes ago, and he was talking about the work that the coaching staff did in the first round. And maybe that's not something we talk about so much. We focus on players, but how have you, Paul, been able to use, I guess, past experiences, either with this core or just in your career, to make you a better coach, when the stakes are highest, the same way players would build that resiliency?
I think this is probably to outside sports as well, but as you get older, you learn to enjoy the special moments more, right? Like, and I'm not this old, but go watch a 2-year-old's birthday, watch the grandparents. They're the happiest people in the room, right? It's the greatest thing ever. So when you get a little older and you spend some time in the game, and yeah, there's lots of pressure, but I would say if there's anything that maybe that I brought to the team this year that is slightly different in years past, is a real desire. And I think this it is related to the pandemic and all these things, because it has brought a focus to what's important in your life, that we need to enjoy it. So defining enjoying is maybe important. I'm not talking about being casual about it or hey, well, let's see who wins tonight. Who cares? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about really truly appreciating the work that went in to get us here. And I've got a special appreciation for this group because I think making the playoffs was a lot bigger challenge than maybe you think. Now you get there. Well, of course you made the playoffs, but it was a real challenge. So training ourselves and some of it's, you added Dave Lowry. He's an older coach. We got a bunch of guys that have been in the league a long time, and now we really appreciate it. So I hope that we are imparting that to the players. That idea that being in the playoffs is special, and it has to be enjoyed, because if it can't, what the hell's the point of this job? Like, if you can't enjoy playoff hockey, where do you get your joy from your job? There's no fans in the building. There's all of these things that aren't part of what we do anymore. But boy, the tension and the going out to overtime is fun, right? It should be exciting for you. So maybe that's what experience has allowed us to impart to our players.
And final question to Paul Edmonds from 680 CJOB Jets Radio. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for taking the time. Experience type question again as well. So you've had breaks before in your coaching career in the postseason. So how do you practice plan for them? And when do you start to build up and ramp up toward a game again at this point leading up to next week?
So the phases of what we're doing now, the first phase was recovery. And I think we finished that phase kind of yesterday. And today would be the first day we brought video back into the room in terms of game tactics. And that in the next, until we get an opponent, we will only look at Winnipeg Jets video. And then as soon as that opponent's defined, whether we have a day, 2 days, or 3 days to prep, we'll bring that back into the room. And the shorter amount of time they have. So basically the first chunk of video that we're doing right now is just us. And then the last 2 days before the game will be our opponents and any adjustments that we have to make with that. And then we're trying to build the speed. So we'll have slightly more grind in today and tomorrow, depending on when we feel our next game is going to be. And then we'll go to speed at the very end of it, where we won't be finishing a lot of checks. We'll be trying to get up and down the ice as fast as we can, because we know that once the puck drops, there's going to be all the grind you can handle. So that's kind of the path that we're on here. We take care of ourselves and our primary things that are in our game, regardless of who our opponent is. We'll take a look at them a little bit going in, and we've already been kind of sneaking that in for the last 2 or 3 weeks, right? Style of game kind of things. And then we want to be as fast as we can for game one.